name is Wanda Wheatley. I am the chair commissioner for the town of Cottage City. Yeah, I'm a little tall, so. But I wanted to say good afternoon and welcome. Thank you. Appreciate it. And welcome to our Black History Month program. We are doing it in collaboration with our sister town, Colmar Manor. Thank you, Colmar Manor. Thank you, Thomas. We appreciate you. I think everyone is going to really love this program that we have for you this afternoon. It's going to be exciting, interesting, and hopefully you guys will get a little information and knowledge at the same time. So I'm going to invite my co-host, Mary Thomas.
I'm going to point this down. Okay, so first off, I want to thank everyone for being here. And I want to make very clear, and I know that I'm preaching to the choir, that Black history is American history, period. I want to welcome you to Colmar Manor, and I want to thank Cottage City for inviting us to partner with this event. They organized everything. We did very good. I'm sorry, and I know that I owe you. For those who have not been to Colmar Manor, I want to share some of our history and our demographics. So we are a historic port town, which includes Cottage City, Bladensburg, and Edmonton. In the 1700s, this was a thriving port town, so we had a lot of ships come and do a lot of commerce. And in the modern day, you can say that we are still that, because we have Bladensburg Road that serves as the main commerce thoroughfare into Maryland, DC, and Virginia. We are the home of the dueling grounds and the site of over 50 duels between 1808 and 1868. Wars and battles were held here and in the surrounding area. We are rich in history and rich in the diversity that has held these towns down for centuries and decades. Our first Black mayor was elected in 1982. From then onward, we have had a rich history of Black leadership for the past 40 years, and that legacy continues. I am the first elected Hispanic mayor of Colmar Manor, one of 3 elected Hispanic mayors in the state of Maryland, and I'm proud to serve on the board of the Maryland Black Mayors. As a person of color, I'm proud to continue the legacy of Black and brown leadership, and I fully understand that I stand on the shoulders of giants, many who are present in this room now, today. Our community has a beautiful minority makeup of Black, Hispanic, and Filipino families. We have an amazing Caribbean community. We have many Jamaicans, people from Trinidad and Puerto Rico. We have a beautiful African community consisting of people from Ethiopia, Eritrea, Nigeria, just to name a few. I am so proud to live here and to celebrate our collective history, not just this month, but every day of the year. I would also like to personally invite you to 3 upcoming events. So we at Colmar Manor are going to continue celebrating Black history. So on the 24th, many of our families will be sharing their stories as Black families of Colmar Manor. I think it's really important to share the stories and to record the history of our town. We are going to be having a salsa wind down. So we'll have a salsa instructor here. We're going to have a lot of fun. That's going to be on the 10th of March. And then I am a huge spades fanatic. So if you're interested in playing spades, I'm partnering with the mayor of Cheverly to have a spades tournament here. And I do talk a lot of smack, and I am an excellent spades player. So thank you. So thank you again for being here, and obviously thank you to the Rec Committee for hosting all these events and supporting all these events. Thank you so much.
Before we get started on the program, I do want to acknowledge our elected officials that we have in the House, starting with our Honorable Delegate Diana Fennell. Delegate Fennell, would you like to say a few words? We are in your hometown. In your room. Your room, your solid ground. Look, Miss Colmar Manor.
You're welcome. I'm actually just so happy to see this and to be here. The mayor, Colmar Manor, Sana. on the weekly partnership, each and every one of you, as Vice Mayor, all of you, I can keep going on and on, Mayor Bladesburg, James, Trina, Vice Mayor Brown, and Mendoza, each and every one of you. I mean, so I just want to say this is so important in reference to Black history, in reference to how we celebrate. You know, each and every one of us, every day. I tell people all the time that we all must be loving and kind to each other because you never know what tomorrow brings. We are in a stage in our life that we all need peace. Peace is so important and get along because, as you know, poverty is real. It is real. I just want to let you all know that I am so happy. So happy. I'm looking at you when I'm seeing the Black History Month and the decorations that you have around. I was just so proud. I live in Colmar Manor. I live here in Colmar Manor. And we got the best of the cream of the crop here, because I live here. I do know Senator Augustine is on his way. He should be here shortly, but I just want to let you know, we are here for you, we love you, and we love our district, and we love you. And also, I do have to always make a public announcement. We will be doing, one of the things that the Senator and I and Julie talked about. We're going to be doing food drives and doing grocery giveaway within our district. We're going to be starting again on February 25th, which we're partnering with the town of Colmar Manor, who's going to be here from 10 to 2. I know it's going to be a busy day with a lot of other events that day, but you all need to know that because things are not getting any cheaper. So we're going to continue to do what we need to do. Senator, myself, and Julian, and all of you that represents and carries. So love you all. That's all I got to say.
Love you too. All right.
That's all I got to say. Oh, my daughter, my son is here. There's Janae Fennell and Jeff Fennell. So who's a great partner with the mayor and the council, that you're going to be seeing a lot of great things. I let the mayor, I'm not going to steal her thunder, but you're going to be seeing a lot of great things happening here in the town of Colmar Manor. Blessings.
I see that we also have several mayors and council members in the audience. If you could please just stand to be recognized. If you want to introduce yourself, we can. Just want to be recognized.
Robert Carson, Mayor High.
Mayor James.
Good afternoon, Mayor James from the town of Williamsburg.
Melinda Mendoza, Mayor Pro Tem, Colmar Manor.
We have some former council members and former mayors. Former
Former Mayor, current Vice President of NAACP, George Scales.
Welcome. Thank you all for coming and joining us today. Next on our program, we will have a performance by Mr. Reginald Bagley from Idaho. He will be singing the Black National Anthem, Lift Every Voice and Sing.
Before we do that,
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
And I'm always honored to be able to share in a Black History Month program. But I happen to be Black every day. So although I do recognize the importance and the significance of this, I appreciate the words of Madam Mayor. Black history is American history. And when we take an opportunity to honor ourselves, we honor those who are around us. when others take an opportunity to honor the contributions of African Americans over the course of the African American experience, they actually honor themselves because we are interwoven, we are together. The program actually calls for a performance of Lift Every Voice and Sing. But Lift Every Voice and Sing is very rarely performed. There are arrangements of it that are performance worthy, but more Lift Every Voice and Sing, I don't consider it performed, I consider it shared. Because when you understand the song, there are 3 verses to the song, and it speaks to the experience of us in this country, but the last verse is a prayer. And although we're going to join in it together, the last verse basically says, God of our weary years and God of our silent tears, you brought us thus far along the way. Thou who hast by thy might, thou who hast by thy might has led us, and can keep us forever in our path, we pray. And then it says, lest our feet stray from the places, our God, where we met thee. Lest our hearts drunk with the wine of the world, we forget thee. Then shadowed beneath thy hand, may we forever stand, true to our God and true to our native land. So when we understand those words, we don't perform them, we share them. And that's what I'm going to ask you to do today. I'm going to ask you to share, lift every voice and sing. You may sing if you want, you don't have to sing, but I would ask that we all stand and we take a moment to share what has come to be known as the Negro National Anthem. The lyrics are inside of the program. Yes, they are.
Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the darkness has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun of our new day begun, let us march on till victory is won. Stony the road we trod, bitter the chastening rod, felt with the days when hope unborn had died, yet with a steady beat have not our weary feet come to the place for which our fathers sighed. We have come over the place that with tears has been watered. We have come treading our path through the blood of the slaughtered. Out of the gloomy past, till now we stand at last, where the white gleam of our bright star is cast. God of our weary years, God of our silent tears, thou who hast brought us thus far on the way, thou who hast by thy might led us into the light, keep us forever in the path we pray. Lest our feet stray from the places, our God, where we met thee. Lest our hearts, drunk with the wine of the world, we forget thee. Shadowed beneath thy hand, may we forever stand. true to our native land.
Give yourselves a round of applause. Please be seated. Commissioner Wheatley asked me if I didn't mind doing a second song, and I asked her what did she want, and she said something that speaks to our experience. And so we're going to do it a little bit differently. It's going to take a few minutes, but just a couple of minutes. But we're going to do it a little bit differently than how we normally do it. One of the freedom songs, she mentioned that she wanted a freedom song. One of the most commonly known freedom songs in the African American experience is We Shall Overcome. And we're going to do it, but we're going to do it collectively. And we're going to do it how they did it when it was a freedom song. And how it would go, one person would stand, would actually begin the song and maybe add a verse. But then as soon as that verse was coming to a close, when it was time for the second verse, second, third, and fourth verse, someone from the audience would just chime in, or someone from the congregation would just chime in with the first of the second verse, and that would become the second verse for everybody. So for example, we'll say, we shall overcome, and then we'll sing that, and then when it's time for the second verse, the leader wouldn't do it. The second verse would come from someone in the audience, and they would do, we'll walk hand in hand, or God is on our side, or something like that. So it's shared, again, it's a shared experience, and it's inspirational. So join me in the first verse, and then someone, don't make me point to you, but someone, whoever feels inspired, would just lead the second verse, and then everybody would join in on the second verse. And we'll do that probably 2 times, and then I'm going to ask our musicians to do a part of it, and then we'll close out with the opening verse again. That's how it was done, because it was a freedom song. They were telling the world that indeed we shall overcome. And as we look at the experiences that we have now, we have a lot more overcoming left to do. We're not there yet.
We shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe we shall overcome someday.
Black and white
Together, black and white together, black and white together, to someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe. Black and white together someday. We'll walk hand in hand. We'll walk hand in hand someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe we'll walk hand in hand someday.
the first verse again. Everybody.
We shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe we shall overcome someday.
That was beautiful. Let's give him another.
Yeah.
round of applause.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Before you leave, Reggie, can you stop and see the town manager real quick? Thank you. All right, next up, we have some more elected officials that have joined us today. So we have Senator Augustine and Delegate Ivy.
Hey, come on up, y'all. Good morning, everybody. No, I'm sorry, afternoon. Yeah. I'm sorry. You're a little taller than me. It's kind of high. I don't know if it's going to go down or what.
That's
It's all
Wanda,
fine.
Mike, that's why.
What was that? Oh, that's Wanda with the, yeah, it's up a little bit. All right, so Senator Augustine, it's a real honor to be here today for this Black History Month celebration. There's just a few things that I will say briefly, including hello. One, I did not know that Fredo was actually a Black Panther party member, so that's news for me. I'm glad to learn that. That's pretty serious. I mean, he's been serious this whole time. I don't know if y'all ever gone to his house for like a drum session. Like, it's real, right? Isn't it in the backyard? It's very serious. Like, he's a real serious person. So I'm really, that I find to be interesting. And the thing is, to me, it's like there's a continuum of what all is going on. Earlier this week, I just shared with you, I was up in Baltimore because they have a school of nursing. And they have a school of nursing, and one of my colleagues in the Maryland State Senate, her name was being put on the side. You know how they put names of folks on because of the contributions that they made? Her name is Shirley Nathan Pulliam. She is a nurse herself. She's really done tremendous contributions to the school. But she was joined there by a woman, a nurse McCready, who was also there. And the thing about Nurse McCready was she was the first person to actually go to this school. Okay, Maryland has segregated schools of nursing, and this was in 1950. So in 1950, they had these segregated schools of nursing. And as a person from Maryland, Black woman from Maryland, she was like, why can't I go to the school of nursing like everybody else? Young Thurgood Marshall took the case to court. Our very own Thurgood Marshall took the case to court, and she was then admitted to go to this school. This was obviously in 1950. She had to come in through the entrance that had the marker on there for coloreds only. And that's how she came into the school. And this is in the lifetime of my father. Okay, this is just the reality of how close we are to the systemic racism that was just kind of out there against Black people, but it's still there today. All right, and we see it all the way into obviously with Tyree Nichols and the fact that is still just like a symptom of just the dehumanization of Black people that's gone on in the United States for a very long time. There's been a lot of accomplishments. We've come forward. There's just no question about it, but there still remains a very long way to go. And I'm grateful that we have this month to celebrate the Black history, the positive things that we have, and not forget those difficult times that we are still carrying with us today. So I thank you so much, and I hope that we'll enjoy the rest of the program. Thank you very much.
And I just wanted to echo comments of the senator. I'm Delegate Julian Ivey. I wanted to say hello to everyone. Happy Black History Month. just days ago, on the 1st of February, we had the honor, the privilege to see West Manor, our first Black governor. And I think that they planned to do it on the 1st of February, started like but it was certainly fitting, long overdue. So we got a lot of work to keep doing. We have a partner in the governor's mansion now, not just a Democrat in the governor's mansion, but someone who has lived the experience of that community. So it's a big day for us here in the state of Maryland. We can't take it for granted. Thanks so much for everyone who organized today. Exactly, for saying it was awesome. But thank you all so much again.
Thank you.
Not spoken already, team 47.
Yeah, we making history, right?
Yeah.
So we're gonna do a little piece of poetry. This poetry, I just returned from a trip to the motherland, my first trip, you know, and I was very, very happy and pleased to have having had that experience. I went to the doors of no return on several places. My daughter, she made it possible, you know, while I'm still able to, you know, walk and do things that was necessary to do there. And I'm very happy to be here today, seeing each one of you guys just have a little poem myself. The poem that I'm going to read was written by my nephew in Africa in January. It was just written, and the name of the poem is The Look of Love, you know? And you know, each one of us, you know, we have this relationship with our Creator, but we believe that He loves us and He made us individually for all His great qualities and all this great energy and for a lot of great things to do. You know, our ancestors, for some of us in the Black history diaspora, you know, some of our grandpeople were slaves and went through some real traumatic experiences. So this is a poem about the master of the universe loving all of us. I mean, not just the maker of the earth or the maker of our solar system, but stars that look so small to us, but 100 times bigger than our star. You know, with planets, so many planets, we don't know how many planets that's out there. It's just such a giant-sized universe, and we're all cosmic beings. So I want to read this poem. That was written by my nephew in Togo, Africa, Lame. Love is so desired. Each one of us really wants somebody to love us. We want somebody to love us for who we are, and not just for what we can give, but for who we are, the great blessing that the Creator gave each one of us of life. The look of love says, stand up, get up. There's no place like here. Ain't no time like now. The look of love is the voodoo you do. It is the key to free you and me from misery and poverty that slavery brings. So, if you want anything bad enough, you got to fight for it. Work day and night for it. Give up your peace, your sleep, your time for it. Just desire for it. And if life, that universal life force, is good enough, and we know it's great, you'll get it. Just desire for it is good enough, and we know it's great, you'll get it. Just desire for it freedom. Just desire for it intelligence. Just desire for it love. That universal life force is good enough. We know it's great. You'll get it when you recognize it, when you see it. Yeah, it is most present. It's right here, right now. There's no place like it. No other time. a moment in time, a loving glance from others, a precious look from another. And though our tongues may differ, we understand each other. Our eyes water and feed the Nile, a word void of speech, never uttered, just a smile. Yeah, our ancestors were slaves. Now look at us, we're moving on up to a greater day. There's no place like here, no time like now. All the people must prove to the people. A better day is coming for you and for me. A look at you here, passionate and caring, a feeling so strong, the bachelor becomes daring. A look that hears you and frees you from all danger. The one that fills you and dispels all anger. Moving on up to our destination, our ancestors, our nation. We're gonna do it because it must be done. A look of love, a look that hears you and frees you from all danger. One that fills you and dispels all anger, frees you from mental slavery. Blessed are those who struggle, reach that higher goal right here, right now. Blessed are those who struggle. Oppression is worse than the grave. It's better to die for a noble cause than to live and die a slave. Be blessed and be a blessing. This is giving us some rhythm things way down there. My brother comrade James West. And my sister, and also comrade Phoenix, playing flute. And all the way from Brooklyn, New York, comrade Buffalo, not Buffalo, not Brooklyn, Buffalo, New York, my comrade, my brother, the great Charles Woods. Thank y'all so much.
Man, that was awesome. All right, ladies and gentlemen, next on our program, we will be hearing. Okay, all right. So, next in our program, we have a food tasting from 3 local restaurants, Louisiana, Ches Dior, and The Ranch. We're gonna take a little break now, help yourselves. We'll be meeting back together in 10 minutes, because in 10 minutes, you're gonna hear from Harriet Tubman. So I want you guys to be in your seats and ready. So 10 minutes, but help yourself. 10-minute break. Please support them, because they came out, took time out of their busy schedule to support us. So we gotta give back to our community. And they're all black owned. So let's support, okay? All right, now, I'm hoping Harriet is here. I'm hoping the train is here, the Freedom Train is here. Is she ready?
Oh, freedom. Oh, freedom. Oh, for me. Oh, I will say, happy bird in my grave. I'm home to my Lord in victory. No more weeping. No more weeping. No more weeping over me. For this day I be buried in my grave. I'm home to my Lord and be free. Why you don't take your hand out of my face? your hand out my face. Oh, now, take your hand out my face, not your hand out. You keep doing that. Oh, yeah, thank you, I appreciate that. I was born down here in Ireland, but overdosed the kind on the eastern shore in the year 1820 or 1822 or 24. They ain't used to keep the record for the bunch of colored people no more than they would for cash, for coats. And my mother, her name, Harry Green. My father, Benjamin Ross. And they give me the name, I Minty. And they call me Minty. And I would have fit a nice shirt. There was Nina, Riley, Sophie, Robert, Minty, Ben, Rachel, Henry, Moses. We was born slaves in this country. To make your flesh creep. To know what they do to the slave. From the time I was a wee child, I done hear the screaming and crying of my people being whooped. I too done felt the sting and lash time and again. I done see families torn apart, sold to the highest bidder. Every time I see a white man, I was afraid being carried away. But when I stand by this house, I see my two sisters, Lena and Sophie, sold on the chain gang, never to be seen no more. When old master need money, old master, he sell the slave. You know who I speak of when I say old master, huh? Oh, yeah. I remember that day. They carried them off to the far south. All the other slaves, when they been sold, come down to the road for the big fat wagon. All the children that master done sell, he picked in a wagon. I see the small boy standing in the wagon when he see his father standing on the road. And he said, Father, Father, help me. You think his father can help him? Can't help his own self. Then I looked it down the road and I see the men and women what done been sold. They got chained about their neck. This one chained to the one would come behind. And I see my two sisters in the chain. I looked it up in my mother's eye. I see all the hurt what she feels. I looked it in my father's eye. I see despair. But he knows he can't help his daughters. All she can do is put his hand out and touch them when they pass by. And he said, I see you in heaven. That be the face of slavery. To have nothing and still got something to lose. Lord, I come here. Lord, I come here. Lord, I come here. I wish I'd never been born. Slave working, can't see. Rise early in the morning for dawn, till dark out there, can't see. And going out in the field, work all the day till dark, can't see. Working, can't see. Slave children works too. Slave children can't go out in the schoolhouse, but they got the law say, slave can't learn to read nor write. Now, ain't there something to make a law for that? I remember when I stayed back this high, I reckon I was 6 years, 8 years. Master called. Mickey, come here. Yes, sir. He said, Mickey, I want for you to wind on and go with another master. I hire you out. You know what it means when old master hire you out? That means old master send you well here to a new master. And that master give your master money for you working. That's what it means when they hire you out. Now, I ain't never been away from my family before. I cried all the time. And they got me there to care for a baby boy. And here come Missy Susan. She carrying this great big old strapping baby boy. She say, "Pick your arm out, child." I picked my arm out. She commenced to pick that great big old boy in my arm. Now I done tell you, I only stay about this high. I can't stand there and hold that boy. That boy too big. I got to sit down on the floor for the whole. And I cared for that boy all the day and all the night. And I remember at night, Missy said, "My boy, he's sickly. But I do be tired. I don't want him to cry out. Put him in the cradle." So I takes that boy and I picks him in the cradle and sit down on the floor. Then she said, "Now, sit on down there and rock that cradle." I sit on down and I rock the cradle. Now, Missy, she gets something when she picked me her pillow. What you think this is I got in my hand, huh? A whip. That's right, child. She take that small whip, put it beneath her pillow, and she whine on the wrist. Now, what I tell you I was doing? I'm rocking that cradle. Now, what you expect happened with a wee child sat there through the night, rock the cradle? What you expect happened with me, huh? Falls asleep. When I fall asleep, what happened with that cradle? When it stop rocking, who cry out? Who that baby wake? Missy get there with her. She commenced to whip me about the head and neck. She said, "Now you sit on down there and rock that cradle." Well, I sat on down there, but I done learned this time. I rocked that cradle with this hand. With this hand. Oh, the night. Say it be hard times, sure, bad times. I remember when I stayed about this high, I reckon I'm 12 years, 14 years. Missy called me, said, "Mindy, come here." Yes? She said, "Mindy, I want you to wind on down to the store for to fetch me something." Yes, sir. Now, my hair was sticking up on my head like this. Now, you know I ain't going down no store with my hair sticking up on my head like this. So I get the old shawl when Missy done give me, and I commence to wrap it down my head for to cover up that hair. Then I go on to the store. Ooh, and I get that shot. There be plenty commotion. There's a slave boy in the store. He running him and young. His master trying to get hold of him. I come to the door and I see that boy coming running toward me. His master said, "Hold him! Hold him!" You think I hold him? That boy looked like he got freedom in his eye. I stepped out and the boy run out the door, but his master done picked it up a 2-pound weight, what they use for the weigh the food stuff in the store. And he takes that weight and he chuck it at that boy. But the boy done run out the door. Who you think it hit? You know where it hit me? In my head. It put a hole in my skull. To this day, I can take 3 fingers and pick in this hole up in the neck. And they said if I ain't had that shawl wrapped out my head for to cover up that house, I'd be dead. Slavery be hard. Time, sure, bad time. I remember when I stayed in this house, I jumped the broom. What do you mean when you jump the broom? Oh, gets married up. Is you married up to this? No, all right. I married up with a free colored man. His name Old John Tubman. And old master standing there looking. He said, I don't know what for. Slave, marry up, jump the broom. Slave can't feel no love. Slave like an animal. But I know old John Tubman care for me. For he a free colored man. And he done jumped the broom with a slave. And I sure does care for him. And that's when I gets my name. I said, I'm mad now. I done jumped the broom. I need my own name. So I take Harriet, would be the name of my mother. And I take Tubman, old John Tubman. Yeah, I be right. And I worked hard. I worked it out in the field. Master bring me and say, look at that gal. That gal's strong. She can best any man. And I worked in the woods with the loggers. You know what the loggers do? Loggers cut the tree. Now the logger be slave, but the logger get to move about a bit. And when they move about, they see things and they hear things. So when the loggers speak, I open up my head and I listen. I tell these children all the time, you learn more when you open up your head and when you open up your mouth. I hear the loggers speak about the underground railroad. They say black people, white people, there's a safe house over here, and a safe house over here, and the people's are happy on the road to freedom. When I hear that, I pick it up there for safekeeping. Why, I've always got freedom on my mind and the Lord in my heart. And I praise all the time. I pray for old Master. God convert old Master. Change that man's heart. Make him Christian. Then the time comes. Old Master commenced to bring men to look at me, and they stood there saying what they would give, what they would take. All I can do is pray. Then I hear tell I'm going to be sold on a chain gang with two of my brothers. I changed in my prayer. Lord, if you ain't never one chain, old Master Heart, kill him. Take him out the way so it won't do no more mischief. 2-3 day time passed. I yet tell old Master Dave, we for sure bound for chain now. I run to old John Tubman and I plead with him, come with me. I want to be free like you is free. I want you to come with me to the north where I can have my freedom. Old John Tubman say, no, I want for you to stay put. Out there be danger, trouble. I don't want that in my life. Now there's some color that say he don't want no danger and trouble. All he got was danger and trouble. He said, no, you stay put. Did I stay put? I runs in the night with my brothers, but they turned us back. They feared what the new master do to us when he came. But then the night come, I run on my own. I done reason this out in my mind. There be one or two things I has a right to. Liberty or death. If I cannot have the one, I have the other. For no man should take me alive. So it was. I fixed in my eye on the North Star, and I kept moving. My father teaches me how to find the North Star. He said, mention North Star, never move. It holds still while the northern sky moves around. So my father would teach me how to move in the woods without making a sound. How to look for birds when they disturb, or you know something there. What size the tree the moss grow on. You know what size the moss grow on? The North Star. Good Lord, tell me, if you can't find that North Star in the sky, you keep your hands on them trees and you feel your way. I was walking in the night. I hide in the day and I was walking and walking and walking. Then that blessed day come. I was in Philadelphia. I was free. I looked at my hands to see if I be the same person. Now that I'm free. There comes such a glory over everything. Sun come like gold through the trees, over the field. I'm free. But what no one ever welcomed me to the land of freedom. All my peoples down on the eastern shore in the slave port. To this solemn resolution I come. I'm free and they would be free. With the help of the Lord, I wind on down there and get them and bring them all to Philadelphia, to freedom. Y'all know what it means. For the Lord would catch them his back to deliver his people from the land of bondage. When we come upon these rivers to cross, he never let the water come above my chin. In raging wind, blinding snow, he never let me get the frostbite. With massive men lying in wait, with bounty offers for dead or alive, with dogs pounding and tracking, hoping to smell you when they can't see you. For the Lord will hide me in the day, and he lead me in the night. And when we're tired, weary, he sent the Underground Railroad, black people and white people, with purpose, spirit is on our journey. Just so long as he wants to use me, he take care of me, and I hold steady on the hill. And they call me a conductor on the Underground Railroad. For I gets my people, and I brings them to freedom. And I can say what no other conductor can say. I never run my train off the track. And I never lose a passenger. Now, I done tell you something about me. I want you to know if you got questions, what you want to ask me. I'll be obliged to answer if I can. Ooh, I like it when everybody think they know everything. You ain't got what you want, child.
Yes, preparing settlement cost policy. On the way.
Well, I tell you, child, what's your name? Tree. I tell you, Tree. If old Master throw a 2-pound weight and hit you in the head and get a hole in your stomach, you fall asleep. Every now and then they say, "Hurry, took." You just going down with the eyes closed and stand right there. And then here you come back. But I tell you, all in what I lead to freedom waits till I come back. But yes, you was right, Miss Tree. That all what you got? What you want, child? How many people did I bring to freedom? I tell you, it's hard to know. Now, I know you can read, right? Well, I tell you, if you go in the library and you get a book, that book say, "Hard coming and wind down there 19 times. She done bring more than 300 to freedom. If you go over here in the library, you get this book. This book say, no, she ain't go down there no 19 times, maybe 11. No, she ain't bring no 300 to freedom, maybe 70. So I say to you, you go in the library and you get a book that you think been written by one who's got plenty of data. See what they say. And you come on back and say, because they ain't like I get up to Philadelphia and then go over the corner and say, "Oh, how many of them I done bring all together so far?" But I say this, if there be one left in slavery, I didn't go down there enough. That all was what you want, child.
Why did you leave Philadelphia?
Why I leave Philadelphia and go further north? You mean up to Canada? Well, I tell you, child, in the year 1850, they put out what they call fugitive slave law. That means they would come on up to Philadelphia, snatch you off the street, and carry you on back down to slavery. They was coming up snatching free colored people and carrying them back to slavery. So I ain't trusting Uncle Sam with my people no more.
Oh, that's right.
I carry them all the way to Canada, where I know that they be free. Is that all right with you? All right. What more you got? That's not what you want, child.
Survive going back and forth.
Well, I tell you, my father, he tell me what plants and berries I can eat. And my father tell me what plants I can use for medicine. When I get spell or sick or my child just gets sick, I can care for it. Because you use the water lily, the plant of the crane bill, and the back of hemlock for medicine. So that's how I do it. It was a hard journey every time, child. But when slavery is here and freedom is here, you keep on moving.
I got a question.
What you want back there?
I want to know, why do they call you Black Moses?
Why do you think? I tell you, Moses taught the Red Sea. Moses on down and he brought his people to freedom. He go down in the land of bondage and bring Israel was Egypt land. Let my people go. Press so hard they could not stand. Let my people go down Moses, way down Egypt land. Tell old Pharaoh, let my peoples go. Moses did it. So they give me the name Moses. So I did it too. Now I don't know how many times, but I did. Now that's all what you got? What you want, child?
We do have to join you.
Oh, Trina, why I even call you? Well, I tell you, when I get to Philadelphia, I could work up there and get small money for work. And when I got enough money, that's when I come on down to the Eastern Shore, get my people. But this one time, Miss Trina, I take a small piece of that money and I buy some fine suit of clothes for old John Tubman to pin on his back and come up to Philadelphia with me. But when I get there, old John Tubman tell me, I don't want you no more. He say, where you go, there be danger and trouble. I done tell you I don't want that in my life. I got me a new wife. Her name Caroline. And she stay put. Now I know old Master ain't know what he speak of when he say slave can't feel no love. When John Tubman tell me I don't want you no more. That's the free. Then good Lord come to me. He said, hey, Tubman, I ain't picked you down here for the pine over no man. I picked you down here for to deliver my people. Right. So I take old John Tubman and I drops him from my heart. Yes. And I take that fine suit clothes and pick on the back of the slave man when I bring you free. But I jumps the broom here. The Civil War be over the year 1865. I jumps the broom. But a man what was United States colored troop soldier, been named Nelson Davis. He a young man. And he stayed put. And that's all what you got. I'm looking at your time, Captain. I know you got more people. But is y'all got everything what you want to know?
Yes.
Is you sure?
Yeah.
Well, I want to say something too before I leave. Is that all right with you?
Yes.
I can stay out here for 3 days if you want. I want to say this. They said slavery be over when the Civil War be over in the year 1865. But I want you to know, especially tell these children what I see sitting in here. Slavery is still right here today. Slavery today be anything but keep you from doing and being all that you was here to do and be. Slavery today be anything what own you. So you don't own your own self. You got to tell the church. But the Underground Railroad is here today too. But these children, they Underground Railroad is education. You hear what I said? What I said is education. The more they get, the more free they stay. You gonna get out there with Frederick Douglass, I know. But Frederick Douglass, what we laugh, he misses, teaches them to read. Then they Frederick Bailey when he evolved. Then the Missy called him out there. She stand little Frederick Bailey up there. She put a reader in his hand. She said, now, why? Show the master what you can do. Little Frederick Bailey commenced to read the words in the book. The master said, halt, leave the room. Little Frederick Bailey leave the room, but he stand over here in the corner where he could still get it in over the hear something. He had a master tell the Missy, do not teach a slave to read. It would best unfit him to be a slave. Little Frederick Bailey had that, and he figured out, that's how they keep the black people down. Knowledge, education is the path from slavery to freedom. So little Frederick Bailey started taking bread from the master house. And he going out in the road, he see these poor little hungry white boys. And he said, is you hungry? Little white boy said, yeah. He said, can you read? Little white boy said, yeah. He said, I'll come every day and bring you bread to eat if you teach me to read. Little white boy said, yeah. Then little Frederick Bailey teaches himself how to write on the paper. Education, pathway from slavery to freedom. That's how little Frederick Bailey grow up to be Frederick Douglass. I want to say education is the Underground Railroad. And just like I said, I was conductor on the Underground Railroad. You is the conductor now on the Underground Railroad education. You must keep every child's face turned from the North Star to the morning sun. And I want to say to you, all you conductors for these children on the Underground Railroad education, I pray that you would do like old Harry Tubman. Never run your train off the track. Yeah. And never lose a pass. You hear me? Yeah. Is it all right with you? That's all right with you. God bless you.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was awesome, right? That was awesome. She was awesome. Now, I know you enjoyed the program so far. Don't go yet. We got some more for you. Next, we're gonna have our speakers, Mr. Curtis Valentine from the Prince George's School Board. Now, we're gonna have you sit right up here. And we're gonna have Mr. Fred Hill, Black Panther in the house. So let's give them a round of applause. We're gonna be speaking on Black resistance. Right? Okay.
You have a lot of very favorite people who are freedom fighters, you know, that played a real strong role in our culture, as we move from being incarcerated and mental slavery, et cetera, But Harry Tubman is my favorite. She's my all-time favorite, you know, because it took more than just a real strong commitment. It took her being guided by the Most High, you know, to do that work, just to have the courage to attempt to do the work. And then to do that work and be so successful was amazing. That's a very amazing feat that we have. That's somebody that came from our home, came from the same history that we came from, you know. I'm thankful to be able to be a part of this program and to be following such a giant, somebody representing such a giant and did it so well. You know, it appeared to me that the spirit of Harriet Tubman was right there with her, you know, guiding her speech and her mannerism and everything. I want to talk a little bit about culture, you know, the culture of resistance, you know, because we've been resisting this whole particular slavery thing for a long time. I'm going to talk a little bit about my journey, how I got involved with the Black Panther Party, the work that I did, and the culture that I saw, you know, and how it transformed so many people. Because when I was a child, at like 3 years old, I was in my backyard, you know, this was in Wilmington, North Carolina. And all of a sudden, a rock hit me on my head and bounced off. It was a nice, smooth rock. It wasn't a marble, but it was so perfectly formed, like a marble. And at 3 years old, I, you know, didn't know very much, but I turned around and I seen about 7 or 8 white children. They looked like they hit the lottery. They was jumping up and they was running to look for other rocks. And without having any kind of insight, I turned as I walked towards my house. No rock hit me again, and I wasn't hurt by the first rock. I mean, it taught me a great lesson in terms of where I was and what my value was to society. You know, most of the time you won't even walk by a dog and throw a rock at it for no reason. So I was actually a very low thing, and as a child, there wasn't no compassion for me, but it taught me a great lesson. When I was like 12 years old, I just turned 12, President Kennedy was killed. You know, and him being killed was like a very, very powerful thing. I was selling a paper called the Evening Star at the time. And so many people came to me and bought that paper. And I stood in the same spot for I imagine about 5 or 6 hours. They kept bringing me more papers. And I would give them half the money, and they'd bring more papers. I'd give them half the money. But it was so many broken hearts, so many people felt broken heart about this murder. And Malcolm X commented on that particular thing and said the chickens have come on the loose, meaning that we were such a violent society, such a violent country, that now we were like killing our own leaders. You know, they killed all these leaders in Africa, killed leaders all over the world. so that they could have access to money, access to resources. And so when Malcolm X was killed, I was still selling paper. And I sold one paper, one conscious individual came up and bought a paper. After Malcolm X was killed, that's when the Black Panther Party began to form. I read a lot of books about, when I was a young person, about what was going on with the Black Panther Party as they were developing, And in October of 1966, after they had developed somewhat, Huey B. Newton, he was like going to school to be a lawyer. So he took what he understood from law and he wrote a 10-point program for the Black Panther Party. The Muslims had a 10-point program, so he was modeling it after something that was already in our culture and in our society. And I'm going to read you 10 points of the Black Panther Party. It's not going to take but a minute. These are the things that he put down that we wanted as people, that we wanted in our culture at that time. He said, we want freedom. We want the freedom to determine our own destiny. We want full employment for our people. We want an end to the robbery of our community by the capitalists. And we want the overdue payment of 40 acres and 2 mules. They had a train, they told black people at the time, when they were set free, they told them that there was going to be a man coming from Washington. He was going to come on the train, and all thing they had to do was bring all their belongings and stand at the track. And when the man came from Washington, he would give them 40 acres of paper for them to get 40 acres and 2 mules. And they stood at that track, brokenhearted for so long, and the man from Washington still ain't got it. Still what to do. So we want that. We want the land to end the robbery of our community by the capitalists. We want decent shelter for human beings. We have graduated into a different set of animals on this planet. We have schools, we have schools, and we have all kinds. We wear clothing. We got all kinds of industries, and we got institutions that serve the people around them. That's what makes a community. So we want that type of. We want shelter that's fit for human beings. We want an education for our people that exposes the true nature of the decadent American society. That's the knowledge that Sister Harriet was just talking about. We want all black men to be exempt from military service. We want an immediate end to the police brutality and murder of black people. We want freedom for all black men held in federal, state, and local prisons. We want all black people, when brought to trial, to be judged by a jury of their peers. We want land, bread, housing, education, and clothing, and justice and peace. When during the course of history, when you find that you being like oppressed and treated wrongfully, it's your duty to put in your culture to break those chains that bind you and overthrow that government and replace it with a government that's serving you and serving the people. After Malcolm was killed, he was our shining prince. I saw one paper, and I always remember some of the comments when I approached people to sell a paper. They had no compassion for him. These were black people I'm speaking of. They didn't have compassion for him, but they had compassion for someone who wasn't even of their community. And he was our shining prince. He was like all of the manhood that we wanted to be. Huey B. Newton decided, because this is something that came about as a result of the people who was determining the fate of the people in Oakland, California. They decided that people had gotten too rowdy, they was out too long, they was getting too much freedom, getting too much money, they were very close to water, so it was a kind of lucrative lifestyle, but they felt that the people was like too rowdy, so they went to Alabama and they recruited police to come to Oakland, California, to join the police department so they could keep these people in check. And And that's what brought the Black Panther Party about. Because the Black Panther Party is self-defense. Because they came there and they started killing people willy-nilly, whatever whims they had, did they catch you out after midnight. It was like being in Maryland, after in this part of Maryland, back in the day, it was a sundown town. You better get out of town before the sun goes down. So the Black Panther Party, my experiences started very early in my life because during that time, it was a protest against the war in Vietnam. And people were really sick of war during that time. They had given you all kinds of reasons for war. They had gone to Korea, had a war, now they had Vietnam, dividing the North from the South and making all type of war. So war had lost its popularity, and that allowed the culture to exist that was developing with the Black Panther Party, because there was a lot of unrest and problems all through the land because 4 white kids got killed in Ohio State, and they just came and mowed them down because police was losing consciousness on how to stop this movement that was developing all over the world, actually. So the Black Panther Party, they started recruiting people, started selling papers and things like this. And by the time Martin Luther King was killed, there was a total uprising. I wasn't even 17 years old at the time, but the things that was happening, it was like a street criminal's dream. We were selling furniture out of stores, taking all the liquor and selling it. We was just a lot of things, a lot of unrest that went on for about 3 days, and they finally got the army in there. And once the army got there, the next day, our community was full of dope. I'm talking about heroin, very strong heroin that had people nodding out almost immediately. Our community was full of dope. So it wasn't accidental that all of a sudden they just said, hey, let's bring some dope over here. This was an actual plan. So, this is where my own education began, seeing what was happening in our community. So I was really brought in the leaders of the Black Panther Party, which I was not one. I wasn't one of the leaders. I wasn't one of the people who was making policy or anything, but they recruited people that would be an ox for the people to ride, for the oppressed people to ride. People who was nameless and faceless. They weren't like so hung up on, their own name, their own face, and their own status, but they were willing to sacrifice themselves for the cause, Those were that's what the time. And my sister's here. When I was just barely 19 years old myself, some police came to our house and knocked our door in, came and put guns to everybody's head. We had Black Panther posters on the wall. We had like Huey Newton and a lot of other things. And there was a lot of people in the community at the time that got a chance to make extra money by telling on the people who was revolutionary, telling on the people who was trying to make a change. So this is, they came to our house and knocked our door in, and given the need for me, it made it necessary for me to leave that home because I had younger brothers and sisters who were in danger as a result of my own political activity. But I ended up, being around long enough where I cooked for the Free Breakfast for Children program. I worked with Howard University. They had a program that went around testing people for sickle cell, which was at that particular time, it was wreaking a lot of havoc because of where medicine was at the time and this genetic disease actually the disease was like very helpful if you was in other parts of the world, but in this part of the world, it caused a lot of medical problems. And we had a free bus in the children program. So what I was somebody who did a lot of the work. I was never a leader. The person that who I have a lot of respect for, named John Wesley Stevens, he was the leader of the Black Panther Party when I was a young person, when I was there. And Lakeji Torre, who's known by the bass player here, and she's done a lot of great work. She was the other leader. They were like a couple, actually. But that whole process is the resistance that was put up was made a part of our culture. This is a part of the thing that made us, because it was illegal. For a long time, black people weren't even supposed to have no gun. And I'm not talking about doing slavery after slavery. And of course, we still have the same, outside world that they have. You know, we animals to kill us, we have to defend ourselves, but we weren't even supposed to have a gun. So the Black Panther Party is saying, as men, we're gonna arm ourselves and we're gonna watch the police, make sure the police don't kill our people, murder black people at will, willy-nilly. So that whole thing became a part of our culture. And a lot of things transpired in my life, you know, after doing that, but I always had the mindset that I was nameless, faceless. What happened to me in my life wasn't no real big thing. The thing that I had to push that boulder a little bit further down the road so that we could all become free. So I'm not gonna talk any longer. I wanted to let my brother come up and speak, and afterwards, we're gonna have an opportunity to have question and answer period.
Can you reinforce the breakfast program? Because the Black Panther breakfast program ended up being a model for the United States government.
Yeah.
No, but they wasn't doing that. The
Right.
Black Panther breakfast program was feeding our youngsters and taking care of them.
I was real thankful for the opportunity because I actually was a cook for the free breakfast for children program, and also I'm real thankful for the group at Howard University for their willingness to risk themselves and go around with us checking people for a sickle cell program. A lot of the things that the Black Panther Party did at the time, it was meant to bring our people from our community into, get the benefit from the service and to demand those same things from the society at large, to make it a part of our culture. And, I was thinking about maybe doing the question and answer period. I would take questions and talk a little bit more about it. But because we have a limited amount of time, I don't want to stand and use all the time.
Okay, let's thank Mr. Hill again. That was next we have Curtis Valentine, from the Georgia County School Board. We will get next.
How y'all doing? Good. Normally when I go to events like this, they ask those who are in the military to stand up. I honor those who are in the military. But I want all the educators in the room to stand up. If you're an educator, whether you are someone who is part of K-12 school, after-school program, whether you have mentored somebody, please stand up right now. Clap it up for our educators. Thank you all. You all in the village. As I stand here, I'm truly honored to be asked to come speak. In many ways, you all are why I am here. I'm wearing this sweatshirt. It says revolutionary. And this sweatshirt actually came about from a campaign that started in honor of Chairman Fred Hampton.
Yes.
Chairman Hampton was honored a year ago with the movie called Judas and the Black Messiah. And in that film, it chronicles the life of Chairman Fred Hampton, but also his repeated use of the term revolutionary. Revolutionary. And the more you hear that term, the more I did some more research on it. And it came to a quote by the great James Baldwin. And James Baldwin says, to teach a black child is a revolutionary act. To teach a black child is a revolutionary act. It's not a small thing. Why? You all just heard from Harriet Tubman. She told you the power of education. But I want to go back even further. The idea that on the same plantation she was pulling children from, you could literally do anything you want to your slave. Beat, maim, sexually assault, hang, amputate. There was one thing you could not do. Even a white man would get in trouble for doing it. Teaching a black child to read. But she told you they knew the power of education. They knew that an educated child, educated person was unfit to be a slave. One of the most amazing things to me when I think about the industry of slavery, even the geography of a slave plantation, is that, brother, they didn't have any fences. There were no fences on plantations. Y'all seen the movie Life? The gun line, boss. There was a line that the enslaved knew not to cross. There was no physical demarcation. Where was the restriction? You knew not to cross the line because of the mental enslavement. And then I'm brought to today, Black History Month. And I mentioned earlier that something wrong here. We have Black History Month about the father of Black history. We go a whole month and rarely hear the name Carter G. Woodson. A person who did most of his work within 5 or 10 miles from here. 9th Street. Right there. What did Carter G. Woodson say in The Miseducation of the Negro? And when I knew I was invited to speak, I had to reread it. Dr. Woodson said, if you control a person's thinking, you don't have to worry about their actions. If I can control what you think, I don't have to work. I don't have to put up a fence. Right. I don't need handcuffs. I don't need black and white only signs. If you can control a person's thinking, you don't have to worry about their actions. To paraphrase, he said, I don't have to tell you to go to the back door. You go to the back door without being told to. If there is no back door, you'll make one for yourself? Hey, bro, what's the back door? We don't have no back door. No. I don't go to the front door. You don't go to the front door? No one who looks like me, no one who comes from where I'm from ever goes to the front door. I need the back door. If there is no back door, you will make one for yourself. And here we are in 2023, and we watch the beautiful depiction of Harriet Tubman, and for the most part, we all emulated or we all identified with the free area. But so few of us understand we are still in bondage. We are yet to be liberated from the very thing that Carter G. Woodson talked about. What do you mean? Well, Carter said, you don't have to worry about a person's actions if you control their thinking. You don't have to tell them that you have to move to certain communities. You will say, I don't want to live around people who look like me. How many times I've heard someone says, Curtis, you live in Prince George's County? Why would you want to live there? Around people? People who look like me? Now I want to move where the schools are better. No one told him where to live, but he's already in bondage. We don't have to tell you you can't shop here or there. We're still in 23 talking about buy from black women, black-owned businesses. We still have campaigns to support our own people in 2023. We're still in bondage. We're still here trying to justify the power of historically black colleges in 2023. Oh, black HBCUs still have value. We're still doing this. We got a Howard University alum in the White House, and we're still going to justify the power of HBCUs? system that are led by black people, we're still in bondage. The great Toni Morrison said, the function of racism is distraction. It leads to defending things that are indefensible. They tell you that black people aren't this or that. And so you spend time trying to defend the fact that black people are organized, that we have black fathers in our community. Distraction. Look at the brother right here. Turn around, look at this. Beautiful. They tell me black fathers in the community. I spend time trying to defend it. That's time wasted. I am wasting time.
And for waste time.
It's distraction. Trying to defend black love, black beauty, distraction. How did we get here? Disorganization. And self-hate. If you read the Miseducation of the Negro, and I also recommend you read Fugitive Pedagogy by Jarvis Gibbons. He talks about the idea that at the height of Carnegie Woodson's time, we had associations for black educators. We had our own unions. We had our own organizations, our own annual conferences. We came together and talked about education, created curriculum. We had conversations about advanced placement testing. Florida trying to teach all black history. We wrote our own textbooks. Carnegie Woodson spent time sending textbooks around the country, telling stories and beginner history, not in slavery, but on the continent. I am blessed to come from a family and a community and a village like you all who taught me who I was, who told me that Africa was not a dark continent. And so I went and I lived there. So when I saw the African food, I said, y'all, this must have been for me. Give me some extra jollof, put that goosey soup, and please make sure you give me some cassava leaf, please. Because when I went to Africa, and I lived in an African village for 2.5 years, learning an African language. This is what I'm surprised about. They have little understanding of Black American history. We're watching the World Cup with my African family, and we're watching Colombia play soccer. Woo woo! And the person said, how did all those black people get to Colombia? It's a Black African wondering how black people got to South America. He didn't know about the triangle of slavery. We all trying to find ourselves. I connected with them, they connected with me. And I stand here, someone who is, in many ways, a revolutionary, but I'm also a fugitive as well. I'm a fugitive from a system that says I have to learn a certain way and believe a certain way about who I am. I emancipated myself. The more I learn about my own history. Let's see this door over here. Look at the door. Look at the door, please. You can't leave this room without touching a Valentine. This door was invented by someone named Emmanuel Logan. That's my cousin. You can't go to a bank without touching a Valentine. He created bulletproof glass. Educated in what we call, some of y'all have heard, Rosenwald schools. Julius Rosenwald, a white Jewish philanthropist who helped Booker T. Washington open over 5,000 schools from Texas to right here in Capitol Heights, Maryland, where you have a school right there on Central Avenue behind the Krispy Kreme. But that's why I know what Krispy Kreme is. But that is in my bloodline because I did my research. Because you can't tell me who I am when I already know who I am. My full name is Curtis Chavis Valentine. Why do I emphasize the Chavis part? Because John Chavis is the first black man in America to ever go to college. Look it up. Princeton University 1790s. My family. You can't tell me who I am. I come from royalty, not just because of my Valentine name, because I'm connected to him. Black Panther. I get emotional. Y'all put me on stage with him? I don't belong here. I don't belong here with him. No. You belong up. I need to give you a bigger stage. Don't forget where we are. Don't forget where we come from. And emancipate your mind from the limitations that we're only good enough to go here. I'm wrapped up, but the one thing that's most profound to me is I teach at the University of Maryland College Park. And in many cases, I'm, in some cases, the first black professor a lot of those students have ever had. And we've seen a decline in the number of African Americans at University of Maryland. It's gone up a little bit. But they'll say, well, Curtis, the biggest issue with the University of Maryland is they don't even apply. Why don't they apply? They think they can't get in. Once you see what our possibilities are, you understand there are no limitations. I'm a graduate of Morehouse College and Harvard University. I thought I was the first Valentine to ever go to Harvard. That's not bad. A cousin went there over 100 years ago. William Valentine graduated from Harvard University in 1904. I already got greatness in my lineage. And so I walk a little different. I talk a little different. But like Harry, like a lot of us, our job is to take those who don't have that and to bring them along. Here's one thing she didn't mention, that Harriet said. I freed a lot of slaves. I would free a lot more if they only knew that they were enslaved. I would have freed more if they only knew that they were enslaved. She told you. John Thomas said, no, I'm good. I'm settled. I'm okay where I am. This is good enough for me. But Fred Hampton said, oh no. Huey Newton said, oh no. Angela Davis said, oh no. Everyone in this room came here today because they said, oh no, because you could be somewhere else. Doing something different. But you all came out here in this space. I don't believe anything happened by coincidence. I don't believe that I'm here and you're here in this same space on this Saturday afternoon for any other reason is to come together and to acknowledge that we, as you mentioned with the Underground Railroad, and every movement in this country has started in rooms just like this. But guess who's at the center of all of those? Educators. The ones who, during the Montgomery bus boycotts and the Birmingham, were taking their students out of school and marched them down there. Educators. But we're telling people, don't become teachers. They don't get paid a lot. They're not respected. That ain't nothing but part of the strategy. We have a shortage of black educators. Ain't that something? Working overtime, ain't they? If we can control their thinking and control the educators, how they feel about themselves, how they look at our babies, whether with pride and opportunity or with low expectations, we ain't got to worry about signs and telling them where to live and what to eat. They will do it all by themselves. That's real power. No fences, no signs, no restrictions. Why don't you move this? What we say, what we do, what we speak, how we talk to each other, words we use for children, who we bring them around, what we say to each other, that's all feeding into who they will become. I'm a father now. One day I'll be Curtis Valentine who lived 100 years ago. My great-great-grandfather. What will they say about me? They will say, great-grandpa Curtis freed a lot of people. They would have freed a lot more if they only knew they were alive. We are free people. Everyone I'm looking at right now, you are here today, you are free. Now let's go free some more. All right.
Man, I tell you, I don't know what to say. all coming back. Oh my God. Let's give them both. I mean, I know we said, 5 o'clock, right? So if you could hang around for a few minutes, if anyone has any questions for them while they're here. I see a hand in the audience. Go ahead, man.
So, Carter Jewison identified as Afro-Boricua as well. So I believe he also identified as Puerto Rican. So when you're talking about distractions and we're talking about the Hispanic community, and by the way, this is the father of African American history, right? Black history. We're talking about distractions. When we talk about Hispanics, and when we talk about Black communities, and a division between them, guess what? Distraction. Distraction. So, I have a question. How do we unite those two communities? Because I'm sure that they were united with Black Panthers as well. What do we need to do today to unite those two communities? Especially in Prince George's County.
Well, let me tell you this, and if you watch that movie and you learn more about Fred Hampton, he became most dangerous when he tried to organize other groups. When he organized poor whites, Hispanics, Asians, particularly in Chicago and around the country, that's when he became the most dangerous. When Dr. King started organizing in a multicultural poor people's campaign is when he became most dangerous. And so when we say that, understand that with that comes more scrutiny, but I think is worth it. I would also add, I mentioned my time on the continent. I've also spent time in Central America. Anyone here from Honduras has ever heard of the Garifunas? And Garifuna are Black Hondurans who still speak a West African language in 2023. These are I was in Honduras, Guatemala, El Salvador, and people look like me. And there are people in this county who are telling people from those places that they are not one of us. I said, the more you learn, one thing, you don't need to even manufacture this. Just tell the truth.
That's the main thought. I'm glad you brought that up. The main thought we have in this first study that we don't study true history. If we understand the true history and over the books, and we more into how things came to be, you actually see the disconnect. The disconnect is not knowing the true history and getting history from one that wants you to control of superiority. And that's our something all the time. Open books, research and travel. Most of my stuff I got when I was in the Navy when I traveled the world. You start seeing people who are living this thing where you live, seeing we have more things in common than not common. And you see that you understand the truth. The truth is control. They want to control you by putting what they want to control, that's what they're not for. Saying you can't learn that right? It's not part of their curriculum because they don't want it. They think that, that's a past, they don't want bad blood. There's a lot of positive Black history that should be taught.
Yeah. But I would rather answer, but I think just more practically. One, particularly in Prince George's County public schools, is a more emphasis on recruitment and retention of Latino educators, particularly. So our students also have that connection earlier, so that it's not a sort of appearance of differences. But also, I think it's telling the story. We'll talk about now how we're at the history of the birth of hip hop. Hip hop often is seen as something that is created by African Americans, but no, it was co-created by Puerto Ricans as well. I'm from New Jersey, so I'm like, I was called Puerto Rican, Dominican most of my life. And so this idea that the divisions are occurring are not coincidental. I think once we understand that they're a part of a strategy, but also one that when we understand that the history said when we do that, we are more dangerous. But for me, I run towards that. I don't run from it.
No, I'm dangerous.
I got something to say. Once you know the history in this world, who you are and who they are, one represents God and one represents the devil. So today, you must go back and look at what is in culture of people. Now, when you look at your culture, you look at my culture. I'm a Vietnam vet. We was show the Viet Cong and the Vietnamese. When we saw the Viet Cong up in the mountains, they looked just like me. They were black. The only thing different was this. It looked like my grandmother. Okay? So I asked the dude, I said, hey man, we come up gunpoint. I'm blowing his brains, I ain't gonna blow mine. I put mine down. You drink sock, you smoke? Yeah. You know what he said? He said, once you learn my history, once you learn your history, you know mine. So today, you got to look at what is happening amongst us. It's a thing of knowing history. When you learn the history who you are, then you're going to realize who the world is. And the world, you know who it is? You. I got no more to say.
Yeah, I was gonna say, in terms of history has just gone through an assault of information. You know, right now, all of the young people, everybody in this room, I imagine probably have computers. You know, I remember when they first made the telephone, cell phone. I remember I was in school, electronic school at the time, and everybody, someone said, "Oh, you know what? One day this phone is going to be a clock too." If everybody in the class laughed, it was a funny thing. Now that phone is a computer, and I mean, anything you want to know, you can talk to your phone and it'll tell you. You know, so we are under assault of information. So we're rich with information, but we're getting further and further away from how to use it. See, that's why we want to always be connected. We want to be connected to the forces that created us, that's still in us. So if there's something in us, we can make the change. Each one of us can make the change right here, right now. I mean, all the things that the sacrifices that was made, this brother made, you know, that the Black Panther Party members made, all the things in order to get us to where we are right now, those things are available to us right now. You know, we individually, each one of us got to make up in our mind to use it. And it's just, you don't have to do them, but turn around and reach into somebody else's hand to share what you already got. Each one of us can make that change right here, right now. Some of you meet people that's blessed to have some history, blessed to have the knowledge on how to do things, you know, but you got to take that blessing, you know, be blessed and then be a blessing. You got to take that blessing and then be a blessing, because each one of us got something real special that we came here to do. And you know, if you know 50% of it, keep on looking, keep getting 100%. You know, so you will know your special place here. We all got a special thing that this great creator that created not just the earth and our solar system, but created the whole universe and got us in perspective. And it's in us right now. We just the shadow of that. We're the shadow of that creation. So we got to make sure that we know who we are. That's what you got to do. Each one of us got to know who we are. Then we'll know what we need to do to bring our communities together. You know, self-knowledge is dangerous. It's great.
Any more questions for our speakers? Well, I'll ask a question. So we both spoke about your experiences and how it got you to where you are now. And you recommended some readings that we should do. Is there something else you could recommend we do in addition to those readings, just to make us more aware?
I do recommend people journal. I carry one with me to document the thoughts, document your experiences. One of the things I mentioned before about the making education illegal and book reading illegal is that on the plantation, I mentioned before that there were no fences. And one of the greatest fears of the enslaver was not only reading, but what people would find out if they read. And so they talked about if the enslaved learn how to read, they will read about distant lands and want to find those things. So you read stories about waterfalls and about mountains, and then you'll be able to it'll be hard for you to stay on the planet because now you want to find the thing you read about. But if you control what they read, that they don't understand it, there's nothing outside of the plantation. There is nothing out there. Everything you need is on this plantation. The education is really the control of the imagination. And so my point about imagination is, right now when we talk about problem solving, about solutions, oftentimes it's a lack of imagination. That's true. And so the idea that the more you read, when I read, invariably I will come up with an idea for something. It's just based on what I've read, based on my interaction with someone, something's going to come about, but I also have to write it down. What I also do when I'm driving is actually turn the radio off. And now I'm downloading a lot of the things that I was, it literally just comes to me while I'm driving. Oh, wow. A lot of what I wrote today was actually on the way over here. And I do a lot of speaking, but I'm also mindful to leave space when I arrive, that there's something a spirit could put on me. When I came in, clearly, when I came in this space, when I saw this brother and I saw Harry, I was like, oh, I might need to go another way. But I have to leave space for that. I can't say, no, I came here, I'm only going to say what I said. God's like, well, no, you have to embrace the space you're in. But if I had written it down and had sort of a foundation, I would have came here and I would be like, what's he talking about? He's talking 10 minutes, he ain't said that. And so I would recommend you journal, read at least half hour a day, but also spend some quiet time. You have to call it meditation. You just call it quiet time when you turn off your phone and you digest what's been put on you. But also understand some of the things negative that are put on you as well. So oftentimes we do things I mentioned before with Christians, like the idea that we move in spaces and we don't even know why we're doing it. We may put on things and do things to our body. We're like, where did this come from? I don't even know why I do this. But I can say, well, I've been watching what you watch. Listen to what you listen to. I see what you put in your body. I know exactly why you feel the way you do. I'm an observer, but I can see that your movements are a byproduct of someone telling you what's beautiful, what's ugly, what's good, what's bad, where the likes and the comments and the shares and all that stuff come from in the social media space. And so unplugging from that will allow you to digest and remove yourself and say, well, who am I really? And my experience, particularly in South Africa, was so important because for 2.5 years, I had no communication outside of a two-way radio and the news. And so everything up to the point I was 21, I thought I was no longer hearing, oh, this is what black boys do. This is what guys from Jersey do. This is what people, it was like, so who is Curtis Valentine? And I think a lot of us have to do that ourselves to find out who am I, and am I a caricature of everything people told me I should be, or who is my true self? I'm a lawyer. Did you want to be a lawyer, or did someone tell you you should be a lawyer because they make money and you speak? Well, actually, you know what? I really wanted to be a dancer. I love to dance. Well, why didn't you do that? Oh, no, I did this. Why did that? Because everyone told me I should. But what did you really? I really wanted to do this, but I had no space and no one to protect me, to be able to tell me I can do this thing without being ridiculed for doing that thing. And so we remove ourselves from those spaces. We also give ourselves permission to be our most authentic self, which is who I become. Every day I become more of who I am. I'm 44 years old. I will not be the same Curtis Valentine a year from now, I guarantee you. I'm leaving space for myself to walk in that, but also to connect with brothers and sisters who are allowing me to also be vulnerable and be able to say, maybe I want to do this. I walk into my college classroom and they say, well, I never seen a professor wear a hoodie before. You have now. And I bring everything I would have brought up out in a three-piece suit and a pocket protector. But this is more Curtis Valentine than I was 3 years ago. I was afraid. I'm in the University of Maryland. I dress a certain way. They may come for me. No. I'm walking, and if they don't want me, I gotta be comfortable with that too. But my students need me to be that. Because now I give them permission to be their authentic self. If I come in faking, they can't be vulnerable when I'm coming there, well, Mr. Turns at page 1, we don't talk like that. I'm like, no, you come in, you will hear Nipsey Hussle, Tupac on the radio when you come in my classroom. Public enemy. White power. Whoa. You walk in you know you in this space. You walk in, you hear Chuck D, Paper Play, Heavy D and the Boys. It's different in here. Doors closed. Let's talk about education in a vulnerable. We can't get the education without people being vulnerable. Yeah. Most of my students are white. I said we can't get free unless our allies support us. I can talk about black liberation all I want, but we need people who are not black talking about it as well. Are you comfortable doing that? If you're not, then that's fine. Let's talk about your discomfort and where it comes from. Can we unpack that?
But one of the things that I said earlier when I was talking about doing when the Black Panther Party was being formed was that it was a lot of anti-war between white people, who had their fill of war, and as far as they was adding into the culture that the courage to resist and to rebel, because if you just think about it, coming from slavery, that was incremental for us to take on the actions to do a whole lot of rebelling because we were facing the gun violence. So, just understanding other cultures and understanding that you part of right now a worldwide movement. This is happening just like the Arab Spring thing happened. The more education that's available to us, the more people are going to partake of it. Everybody not going to necessarily have compassion. We want to see other people free or see other people grow and become a part of this, but some people are. And it's going to make a difference.
All right, well, thank you. That wraps up our program, but I do want to thank a few people. I want to thank my town manager, Carol Richardson. I want to thank my chief of police, I want to thank all the staff. I want to thank Monica, Greg. I don't know Greg's last name, but he's your town administrator. I want to thank him. I want to thank Chief Stone. I want to thank Monica's husband for running the camera. Everyone, thank you so much. I appreciate everyone coming out and supporting our event today. And just look out for more collaborations with Colmar Manor.